We've heard all the hints. Now it's finally time to reveal America's top state for business in 2024. Scott Cohn joins us once again. I guess I won't steal your thunder, and I don't want to sound like a fanboy, but I was hoping you'd have this governor. Scott, that was funny that I said that, wasn't it? I actually said if it's that state, you'd have him, and maybe, well, you go ahead.
Wait, you figured it out? Well, we'll let everybody get this in just a moment. So as we've said, we put the states really through their paces, more metrics than ever this year, 128 metrics in our 10 categories of competitiveness. To tell you which state is tops, we decided to turn to one of this state's favorite sons.
Good day, I'm Thomas Jefferson, third president of the United States of America, and I'm standing here in Williamsburg, the 18th century capital of Virginia, where the promises of freedom and independence were shaped. Now, come to think of it, those are rather grand ideals upon which to found a nation, or a business, or a state. Come to think of it, it's the top state.
Yes, it is. We are in Virginia Beach, Virginia, where the weather is going to be a little bit iffy today, but we're not taking anything away from America's top state for business for the 6th time. It is our most decorated state. Virginia is America's top state for business in 2024. Its first win since 2021. Here's a look at how Virginia made it back to the top.
From coast to coast to coast, our search for the state that puts it all together for business carries us back here. Virginia, the Old Dominion, with 1,595 out of 2,500 points. America's top education system, a signature issue for Governor Glenn Youngkin.
We reestablished expectations of excellence.
School spending still lags, but classes are small, test scores are strong, and higher ed is first rate. America's third best infrastructure, 121 million people within a day's drive. The power grid has issues, but Virginia is a leader in shovel-ready sites like this one near Richmond.
Virginia works really hard to listen to companies, and companies are telling us that they need these ready sites.
Virginia finishes in the top 5 for business friendliness, but not friendly enough to land a Youngkin pet project, luring the Washington Wizards and Capitals across the Potomac.
It's easier and better to do business in Washington, D.C. than it is to do in Virginia.
Virginia has America's 9th best workforce overall, but a problem there too. Too many workers moving out, not enough moving in.
Virginia has a population migration problem. The data is irrefutable.
Even so, Virginia pulls off a rare top state's feat, finishing in the top half of all 10 of our categories of competitiveness. We've said it 5 times before, and we'll say it again. Virginia is for lovers, lovers of business. America's top state for business 2024.
Congratulations to Virginia, our top state for 2024. Here's where we were yesterday, York River State Park outside of Williamsburg. Beautiful place. Wish we could have showed you more of it yesterday. They have about 40 miles of trails. As you saw, they also have kayaking. It's an estuarian environment. I learned a new word. It's freshwater and saltwater combined, but a really nice place, and we thank all the people there for their hospitality yesterday. About those hits. Okay, take a hike. The longest section of the Appalachian Trail, 550 miles, is here in Virginia. It's actually the longest by far. The cure? That's Virginia ham. People didn't get that. It is cured with apple and hickory wood smoke, then aged for at least a year. Shell game, you can go a number of ways with this. The largest collection of Fabergé eggs in the United States at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts in Richmond, but also the Chincoteague Oyster Festival is held every year on Columbus Day weekend. A penny saved. Maggie Lena Walker founded St. Luke Penny Savings Bank in Richmond in 1903, America's first women-owned bank. And Hubba Hubba, my idea was Internet Hub. 70% of the world's internet traffic goes through Northern Virginia, but the governor reminds me that Virginia is for lovers, so that works that way too. And speaking of the governor, he is Glenn Youngkin, the 74th governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Congratulations, Governor. 6 times our most decorated state. And I'm wondering, it's been Democratic and Republican administrations have won this. Is there something inherent about Virginia that makes it so competitive year after year?
Well, first of all, welcome to Virginia, Scott, and how exciting and what an honor it is to have CNBC here recognizing Virginia as the top state for business. And I think we work incredibly well together. I mean, economic development is a team sport, and our administration has taken huge strides over the last 2.5 years to address some real areas of importance. Talent is always top of the list, and our Talent Accelerator is now rated the top talent program in America. Business-ready sites and infrastructure continue to be a top need for businesses, and we've allocated $550 million over the last 3 years to make sure that we have shovel-ready sites. And then finally, of course, power. And our All-American, All-of-the-Above power plan, I think, is taking big strides. Yesterday, we announced a big step for a potential siting of a small modular reactor in Virginia to be the first. There's a lot going on. I'm so proud of the work that our General Assembly has done in partnership with us, all of our local economic development partners, and, of course, all the businesses in Virginia. And it translates into success. Gosh, we've had $74 billion of capital committed to Virginia in the last 2.5 years, 240,000 more people working in the last 2.5 years. Success is, I think, the proof of a lot of hard work, and it's an honor to be here with you.
And it's good to have you. Let me ask you about, you talked about the General Assembly, and you have divided government here. And one of the things, I want to give you a chance to respond, as I know you have before, to Ted Leonsis, who said that it's easier to do business in D.C. than it is in Virginia, and so he kept the Capitals and the Wizards in D.C. We don't rank D.C. Because it's not a state. If we did, would it be easier to do business in D.C.?
Well, let me just begin with, it was a real disappointment that the Capitals and Wizards ended up not coming to Virginia. The reality is that stadium deals are hard. And I think we put together possibly the best stadium deal ever. And yet we still weren't able to get it done through the General Assembly. Those things happen. Listen, we don't win them all, but boy, we win a lot. Yeah. And I do think that Virginia is an extraordinary place to do business. We have businesses moving here from all over the country and all over the world. And I think that's one of the big hallmarks is that we, in fact, see businesses build a future here that come from everywhere. They come here because of all of the reasons we've talked about, talent and infrastructure and business-ready sites and the best education in America, and also the big strides we've made to streamline regulations. You know, to get an air or water permit in Virginia today takes you 1/3 of the time it did 2.5 years ago. And then, of course, we are a right-to-work state, which is so important. That's why businesses keep choosing Virginia, and I think that's why we're going to continue to win.
The last time Virginia won in 2021, you were a candidate. You weren't as impressed back then. You said your campaign said Virginia might be the #1 state for political correctness, but not in the things that matter to business. As we went through the data this year, a lot of things haven't changed because you do have divided government in the state, and things that you wanted to get through, 15-week abortion ban and things like that, didn't get through. The voting laws have stayed roughly the same. And not to relitigate all of that, but I'm curious about, is this working? You're kind of keeping each other's excesses at bay. You held the line on taxes. You compromised on education. Compromise, not a very popular word in politics these days. Is that a way to look at this, that you're kind of keeping each other at bay, or are there more things that you want to do that you can't?
Well, let me just begin with the fact that I think results matter. And when I came into office, Virginia was bottom 3rd in job growth. And candidly, many companies were telling me they were ready to move away. And so we had work to do. And I was very excited about the fact that we were able to provide $5 billion of tax relief in our first 2 years, that we were able to make substantial investments in site readiness, that we made Virginia's business climate even better by streamlining regulations and cutting red tape. I hear it every day from business leaders. And we needed to really get on our power challenge because Virginia's power needs are growing faster than the nation. And so we needed to have an all-American, all-of-the-above power plan in order to meet those things. We've made huge strides. I also do believe there are moments where you have to find common ground. And our General Assembly this year wanted to raise taxes. And I said, we're not raising taxes. We can afford to fund all the important things, education, law enforcement, behavioral health reform, with the fact that Virginia is growing at a rapid pace for the first time in a long time. 240,000 more people working provides a lot more state receipts, and we do not need to raise taxes, and I'm going to continue to battle to lower them.
How are you going to get more people to move here? You said that's an issue, and it shows up in the numbers.
Yeah, I think we're seeing real changes in that trend. because, of course, businesses choose every day, where am I going to invest? Where are we going to grow? And they're choosing Virginia now more often than not, and that's really exciting. And I think people are as well. We have people who are building their careers in Virginia and moving here to do exactly that. And I think one of the big areas of progress for us is with our great military. We have 150,000 active duty military and over 700,000 veterans. It's one of the things that makes Virginia great, and we want to keep them. And so we passed tax reform immediately in order to keep 40,000 of the retirement benefits from being taxed at the state level. I want this great workforce and this great pillar of our community to stay here in the Commonwealth.
Joe's got a question. Joe?
Yeah, Governor, to get you on the show, we can't give you like America's best state for business every single time. It's been a while since we've seen you, but you have been on the set, and we appreciate you coming on today. I'm probably wasting time even asking you about the VP slot. I can hear the answer coming that you've got work to do in Virginia and all that kind of stuff. But is there still a possibility that there could be a surprise? And a lot of people think that would be a pretty solid ticket for the Republicans this year is former President Trump and you. Is there a possibility that could still happen?
Well, Joe, as you can imagine, it's quite an honor to even have my name tossed around. I think the reality is, of course, that there's tremendous talent in the Republican Party. And I think whoever the president chooses will add additional strength to an already incredibly strong ticket. And this election is about strength versus weakness. And I think America and Virginia are ready to choose strength. We want a strong economy. We want a strong national security environment and stop all the global conflict. And most importantly, we want a strong border. And I think what Virginians and Americans have seen is that the Biden-Harris administration has projected weakness, and President Trump will once again restore a strong America. I am very enthusiastic about the prospects for President Trump and whoever he chooses as his running mate, because I believe that America once again is ready to choose strength.
People don't believe the polls.
Up until
people don't believe the polls, Governor, that Virginia's in play. Is Virginia in play for the Republicans?
Yeah, Virginia is in play. And just to remind you that 4 years ago, Joe Biden won Virginia by 10 points. And then the next year, were able to win it by 2. And I think that the fact that we're talking about economic growth and record job growth and Virginia being the top place for business, businesses coming and investing, I think that reiterates the fact that Virginians and Americans know what they want. They've seen it. They want a strong economy. They want a strong America. And I do believe that Virginia is in play. We just got to go to work to deliver it.
For the longest time, up until maybe a couple weeks ago, and even still, you couldn't mention Glenn Youngkin's name and Donald Trump's name without the term arm's length in there. Did something change? Was something different 3 years ago? I mean, what is your relationship with the former president?
Well, first of all, my relationship is good. We had a great meeting a few weeks back to talk about Virginia and how he could go to work in partnership with my support and win Virginia. And I think one of the realities, of course, is that Virginia was not in play 4 years ago, and it is today. And as I said, I believe that his ability to project strength is so important at a time when America has projected weakness. Weakness around the world and weaknesses at home. We've seen the chaos at the border that's been unleashed by the Biden-Harris administration, and Virginians are ready for a change. That is a clear signal, I think, to the whole country that when Virginia, where Joe Biden won by 10 points just 4 years ago, is clearly ready to vote for a strong president in the White House, I think that's a statement for the country.
By nature of the main topic at hand today, this state has done pretty well the last 3 years. What's economically and however else, what's wrong? What needs to change?
Well, I think what you're seeing, and I think your rankings underpin it, is that Republican-led states have truly thrived. It's where businesses are going and people are going and economic growth is happening because of common sense policies, tax reduction, safe communities, excellence in education, business-friendly decisions as opposed to business-damaging decisions. And that's where the growth in America has been. And I think that's the vision and common sense that President Trump will bring back, that the whole country can grow like this.
Governor Glenn Youngkin, 74th Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, we thank you so much. Congratulations again, America's top state for business. And now you can see where your state ranks and get all the data at topstates.cnbc.com. More reports about all of this all day today.